Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our town hall. If you have any questions, please just jump them into the chat and we will get to them. And the first one is from Leonard Park. Question: can we get an update on when we'll have a workflow action that allows us to base a condition on whether or not the contact has a future appointment schedule?
I should change my name on there. It's a weird name, Learner.
Can't you just say right now it says last appointment time is on or before?
Yeah, it just doesn't work. The logic there, like because like think about like if the contact had an appointment scheduled last week, then they have an appointment showing. And so if I say, hey, I want to, it'll say no matter what, it's always going to say they had a last appointment.
So you're like saying, yeah. So it's like you want to know like in the future, basically.
Yeah.
So at any time in the future.
Yep.
Cool. Shah, are you here? Nope. All right.
I'm taking notes. I'll send it to him, Sean.
Okay. Varun's here. So yeah, he can maybe speak to that one.
Yeah. So I got only half of that. So what's the issue with the calendar?
So basically we want to be able to do a condition. So like this is for like a retention. So a doctor, like some of our doctor client medical clinics, they want to say, hey, can we just have the system check every 30 days to see if this list of people has an appointment scheduled. And if they don't, we're going to move them to this stage of the pipeline and we're going to add them to a follow-up sequence. And so we've got a pipeline created. We got the whole workflow created, but we're just missing that one action to be able to say, hey, we're using a scale opportunity to say, hey, if it's been in this column for longer than 30 days, trigger the workflow. And then we want a condition to say, does the contact have an appointment at any time in the future, today or at any point in the future? And we've tried a ton of different stuff with what we've got to work with in there. We need a step that says, basically, is there a future appointment on the schedule?
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
So maybe the current one that we have, last appointment, if we had the option to say, like an extra filter to say like to use the word today, or I don't know, in the future, I don't know how you do it, but
yeah. So I'll run that down with the team, but
okay.
I get what you're asking for. It makes
Awesome.
sense.
Thanks, Varun. Appreciate it.
Nico, what do we have next?
Yeah, sorry, I had monitor issues. I didn't know if they were still talking. The next one is from Bill Crane. How do I send a webhook to Zoom to grab a webinar attendee report from Zoom?
I don't think you can grab like a post report. I think as people read, an attendee report. I don't know if they fire that off. It's a good question. I have to look into their Zap. Let me do a little research on that. You can roll on to the next one.
Sounds good. Next one is from James Smith. I'm getting consistent errors and tickets aren't getting resolved with calendar, but they keep getting marked as anomaly and the team stops looking. And someone look into these issues. I can provide context for each one.
James, can you provide real-time examples of it not working?
I have one right now. Yeah, I have contact URLs for each one.
Do not bring it up here. That's just my
question.
question.
I know.
I got on with two people yesterday. One lady, she's like, my ticket has not been answered for 2 months. And that was true. So I jumped on her like, oh my God, 2 months, that's horrible. We've done such a bad job. She's like, the Outlook calendar does not sync. I'm like, all right, which one? She's like, this guy's. So I book an appointment. You know what? It goes right to his Outlook calendar. I'm like, for God's sakes, just test. Please don't get on phone calls with me if there isn't an issue. And she's like, oh, I don't know. The problem must have magically resolved itself. And I'm like, okay, but you like wasted your time and mine. So like, but I love people who show up with real problems. So if you show up with real problems, I love it. I gave you the calendar link for the support team leads for the CRM. They'll handle the calendar stuff. You just get on the phone with them. I'm sure you already have tickets. Run it down with them. They'll get it right to the calendar dev team.
That's perfect. And yeah, I used to build software myself. I totally understand if somebody comes to you with a problem.
Oh no, actually, I use these moments of opportunity mostly to telegraph to other people in the future.
Yep.
I am a huge fan of helping people, but I am not a huge fan of helping people who are not willing to help themselves or even just do the most basic of tests. So
Agreed.
those
Agreed.
people get my wrath. So I would just like to wrath out ahead of time on that. But if you've got a real issue, if you've got something that's replicable, I am down to help. Right?
Awesome. Yep, I
All
do.
right. Good job. I appreciate that, James.
Yep, thanks, man.
Nico, what's next?
So speaking of which, if we're ever wondering how do we do something outside of high level and bring it in, if you just go to Zapier and search, so here's Zoom and we scroll down, it'll tell you all the possible triggers and actions. So they don't have anything here about an attendee. So it looks like we can't pull that information back to high level. We can get registration, but honestly, this is why we like to handle the registration and attendance inside of high level. And we monitor attendance by sending a trigger link with the join link as the last notification. And we use that as a measurement. It's definitely not exact, but it'll give you a pretty good idea.
Cool. Thanks, Chase. Next question is from Stephanie. Will PayPal be integrated in invoices, calendars, and memberships? Same with Stripe/products in memberships.
Yeah, so that is definitely in the roadmap. So currently we are focusing on getting all the major features of invoicing out. So as you know, we have put out one-time payments on invoices, and currently today we released the ability to copy the invoice link so it can be sent over email to your client. And as a next step, we are going to work on the receipt management. Now you should be able to create and send the receipt, etc. And the next major feature that is coming in will be the recurring payments. So, and then the QuickBooks integration. So once we get all these major features, built and we make it solid on Stripe, then we'll focus on, the PayPal and other integrations. So that's going to be the broader roadmap for invoicing. Yes,
so
it is coming.
That's still going to be quite a long time before we get that PayPal integration, because we have clients that use PayPal solely and aren't able to use the invoicing or products or something, anything like that. And being able to pull those products into memberships would be
what's the why on that? So just curious.
She had, I can't remember exactly, but she had a bad experience with PayPal. They like black mom.
You mean Stripe?
No, Stripe. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, right.
Melissa, do you remember her exact reasoning? I forget. People, entrepreneurs, they love their.
Oh, I'm fully aware. Most of the people I ask about what their big deal on Stripe is, they'll say like, well, it was that one time where I was selling the unicorn mugs and I wasn't actually delivering them to people and scamming some people, and I got my account shut down, so I don't like Stripe anymore. I'm like,
for her, it was like I think it was something like there was people that were pretending to be Stripe, like sending people emails asking to like update their information. I don't know if other people have experienced this. Melissa, Jean Tillery also got one of those.
She got like scammed by somebody or something?
Like somebody pretending to be Stripe asking you need to update your information. Like, please do this. And then she was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then but I don't remember, Bridget, she like did it and then it messed up her account and then Stripe shut everything down and she doesn't have access to it anymore and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Well, unfortunately, those things do happen. I did in my prior SaaS company meet a customer who, these stories are very weird. He allowed someone to basically utilize his bank account for the purposes of stealing money, although that's not the story he would tell. And I did end up being on a conference call of him weeping openly at his bank branch. So on one hand, I felt bad for him, but on the other hand, I was sort of like, come on, man, really? Someone was like, hey, let me borrow your bank account. And you're like, no problem. Internet person I've never met who's probably not in the country or the person they say they are. I mean, come on. So, so the backstory on Stripe in general. So for the invoicing stuff, there's a really fast path to success for lots of stuff like recurring invoices. If you just sort of sit on top of Stripe, because they have a lot of that infrastructure already built. Like you can create a recurring invoice in Stripe's API, and they'll take care of all the recurrence rules and all of that. So we're going to beat a path through the feature set on Stripe alone before we ever come back around to PayPal, Authorize.net, or anything else, because we think that getting to the features first is better than trying to deal with the payment stuff. And we're going to leave some people out in the dark on that, but in general, that's the line we're going to cut. So if I had to guess, I'll try not to give timelines, but like, Q4-ish, we might come back around to thinking about adding different.
On that note, I would love for it to happen first in calendars, because that's her biggest need. So
I know, but at some point also, she might want to just think about addressing like the root cause. Maybe like call Stripe and see if she can kumbaya or something, because they are a big reputable company that deals with lots and lots and lots of transactions. And having done business with them now across pretty much my entire career across multiple companies, I have not once found a scenario where they, unduly harmed me due to my good, otherwise not bad actions. So I do think they're fairly legit.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much. I'll let her know.
Can we fix that with Josh's stuff? We're working with Josh.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there you go. Maybe Josh.
I don't see why not. I don't know what Bridget is. I don't know what her products are off the top of my head.
If it
so
isn't
we can talk
Q4,
about
I think you can probably talk to Josh about it and see if you can.
I'll
I'd be
follow up.
happy to help.
Thanks.
I figured, Josh.
And there's also a
Perfect.
second part to Stephanie's question is she's asking if there's an ETA on an internal affiliate system.
There is not currently an ETA on an internal affiliate system. I mean, so right now we're wrapping up Q1. It's really important to me to just make sure we get out all of the stuff that is sitting on the hopper. So WordPress, private beta, Twilio ISV. As far as Q2 goes, I am focused. If I'm going to pick the two features I care about are the email ISV, which is the sort of email out of the box feature, and the blogging. Those are the two that we're talking about. Anything beyond that is totally, absolutely unplanned. And even the blogging and the email ISV could technically be up for grabs if I got a better offer. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that it's off the table at all. It could be Q3 for all I know, but right now it's unknown.
What is an internal affiliate system? Sorry.
Oh, it's like it's like, hey, can you guys go roll first promoter on your own?
So in other words, we could ditch first promoter accounts
Mhm.
and go through.
Exactly.
Oh,
And I do think what I will say on this subject is, there are things that are inside the box and things that are outside the box, right? Like please don't ask me to reinvent Canva. Not happening. Like, just get over it. But the affiliate stuff, I can see the reason for. So it is something that is definitely inside the box. It's just, where does it stack up in terms of, I mean, it's really about priorities, but it's also about hiring as well. One of our biggest things right now is just putting our heads down, hiring more people. If we had 100 extra engineers rolling around, we'd probably jump on it sooner.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you see the ability or foresee the ability to be able to say like, here's a funnel sales page and like being able to make like separate links and stuff for those pages for affiliates?
Yeah, I mean, I would think we would try to model it after existing affiliate systems, right? So you'd be able to create like affiliates and they'd get codes and then there'd be like campaigns and I don't know. And so, and it'd be like products. I don't know how it all works, but more people will figure it out, but it'll just work like everybody else works because that's kind of how it works.
Most people are screaming for affiliates in the membership, the courses. They won't leave New Zenler or whatever until that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I know it's in our box. It's just where
that's
where
all
is it
that matters. It's in the box.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Next one.
Next one is from Clay. Is there a way to trigger when a new review comes in?
No, apparently. So, I'm trying to run this backwards. So a new review comes in.
I mean, there's a couple of issues there. One is the review won't be linked to a contact. So
that's the thing. That's where I was going to go with that. It's like, okay, so you get a new review and the first thing, like you could do something with it. Like we could take, here's the body of the review or here's the rating or here's the this, but we won't be able we won't know who it's from. There's no way to correlate to a contact.
It would be nice to at least show something, because right now we're trying to report on how many reviews we're getting on a weekly basis in a pipeline. We're doing that with web chat widgets, with all the chats coming in through different channels. We're just reporting it so our customers can actually see what they're getting.
That's cool. I think that's a great use case, right? So as long as I think that is kind of what people are looking for, I think that's definitely something that we should think about adding to the workflow at some point.
I mean, that's just review reporting, right? Why add that to the workflow? Just it's available on the dashboard.
Fair call.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question is from James. Is there anyone else experiencing slowness or bugginess when dragging cards around in the pipeline?
Oh, I saw somebody report this yesterday. I have not, but can you show it? Can you show us? Was this James?
Yeah, this is James.
Oh,
yeah,
hey,
I've
James.
seen it. I'm seeing other people posting about it too. So I know it's not just me. Today I can't reproduce it. So
Awesome.
go from
All
there.
right. Well, you know the rules. Call me when you can. But I saw a couple people post on it too. What, Varun?
I said a loom is really helpful as well. If
Yeah.
you can just record a loom of it happening, I think that will really help us run it down.
And I don't, and just for the record, anyone who ever has a problem, I don't disbelieve them. It's just, I know how hard it is as an engineer to actually fix a problem you can't see. And so I try not to bother our engineers with that. But if yeah, I'm with Varun. If looms are definitely a good start. But the problem I run into in general is if it's, sometimes I see things in looms and then they've just vanished. And then the problem is like, well, what was happening in that moment, or what was in the console in the browser? Was it like there was an issue and like there was an error message or something we missed? Like there's more information oftentimes that we need. So, but I'd start there, James. And if it's consistent and you feel like it happens, maybe it happens at peak load times or something in the day, like see if you can kind of track down any of those external details as well.
For sure.
Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Yeah, thanks, James. Next question is from David. Any plans to improving task experience and move them onto their own screen? Additionally, are task alerts on the roadmap?
Not currently. I think we're all on the same page that we need to work on it, but it isn't on our roadmap for now. It might show up Q3 or later, but not this quarter or next.
It's a pretty integral part of a CRM, guys, is working off of a task list and having alarms or alerts about those tasks. Just saying.
Yeah. So I mean, right now we're just going off the ideas list. So there's a couple of items that we're knocking out in the CRM. There's some speed improvements that we're working on. After that, I think there's a few updates to the conversation and contacts pages, company objects, or filters in the smart list, documents for contacts. So we're running through that list based on the idea priority. So the tasks, we want to do it. The only problem is we just don't see enough customers bring that up. But we'll definitely get it done.
Thanks, Varun. Next question is from.
There's one other section there. It's a minor thing on the when you're setting
I
a task.
apologize. When sending a task directly from a pipeline opportunity, cannot enter time for the task, only a date.
Yeah, we should fix that. So Nasser, can you just add that to the thread?
Yeah, I'm adding it, Varun.
Awesome. Next question is from Landon. Is it possible to only charge a booking fee after the booking is approved?
I mean, we do the reverse now. So, I mean, right now we hold the slot until the payment goes through. So only an open slot shows up. Are you seeing so many bookings that, two people see the same slot and both of them put the card in and one of them wins?
Well, no. So one of my clients, he's like a caterer, and sometimes people will book and they're a little too far away, but they still put down the down payment to book his services. But he doesn't want to take that because they're too far away or, whatever the reasons. And then he has to go into Stripe and manually refund their booking fee. And so but he wants to approve each one to make sure that they're not too far away or anything.
Why not throw a survey or something in front of it? Like, hey, choose the city that you're in. And
well, there's multiple reasons. It's not just the city. That was just one thing. He might. Okay. I don't know all the reasons why, but he wants to approve each one, and so he only wants to charge that booking fee once he actually approves it.
I just saw this with a couple of businesses as well that were trying to do the same thing, where they were trying to refund. They were essentially having to refund clients that they had pre-charged for. That it was essentially, if there was a toggle where you could essentially have the ability to, hey, let's pre-charge this or charge it after appointment is approved, that would be a good option.
Yeah, and I guess we have an option called auto confirm the appointment or do not auto confirm it. So if the auto confirmed is turned off, the appointment shows up with the action required. So I think one thing we could do is if If that is the case, then we don't charge the payment. And when they change the appointment status to confirm, the payment goes through. But if it's a confirmed appointment, the payment always go through. I think that makes a lot of sense. And Nasa, I guess you can just add that to the thread as well, and we'll run that down.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course. Next question is from David. Spoke with Shivam a while ago, and he mentioned some upgrades for reviews. Any timeline on this? And will it include sharing reviews to Facebook?
Reviews can be manually shared to Facebook, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure if we remove that option or we put it back in.
I'm talking about like a button. Sean once mentioned on the town hall that there used to be an option to share across to Facebook and things like that. So it's things like that.
It is still there, David, if you are doing it from the reviews screen and not from the conversation screen. You can still find that share.
Yeah, that's like I always laugh because it's like the last piece of code I can think of that's in there that I wrote. But I do think the broader question, Shivam, is it on the reviews roadmap to automate the posting? And the answer is yes, right? So
the review roadmap,
that's absolutely the roadmap.
The review roadmap does exist. We have good understanding of what we want to build, how we want to build it. We have been making some hires to just staff up the reviews component. That is underway. So probably not this quarter, but somewhere around the mid or end of next quarter, you will start seeing a lot of improvements in reputation management product area.
Okay, thank you.
Next question is from Bren. Anyone experiencing UTMs not tracking in the high-level reporting? I track GMB links, and we've had a lot of conversations from analytics or conversions from analytics, but are not coming through in high level.
I guess that is a very specific question. Was support able to help there at all?
I have another ticket into support for another thing, but they have not. I was just doing my stuff last night, checking up, and noticed across multiple of my accounts, GMB isn't tracking. The weird thing is it will track the appointment link that I have the UTM on, but it's not tracking the just regular GMB website. And I have UTMs on all of them. So I just don't know if anyone else is experiencing it. I'm happy to submit a ticket, but it's across several of my accounts.
So this is like, basically, I go to the website, you're passing in the UTMs on the website.
That's right. Yeah. So when they click on the Google My Business, I have UTM, then it goes to the website, the homepage. And
then if you look at the contacts, the way I would know if this was sort of working is on the contact record that gets created from the form submission, there should be this is a contact form submission. In the bottom right-hand corner of that contact, it tells you the attribution. Is it just saying direct traffic or something?
Yeah, it's weird because I would record like 5 new conversions, but it's only recording 1 through the GMB appointment link. It's really strange, and it's pretty consistent.
Because it's weird because we don't really know where people come from, right? Like a UTM is a UTM is a UTM. That's the whole idea of it. It's just that there's no magic there. It's just looking at the
is this all individual? I mean, you're creating an incognito tab, and these are all separate visits. You're not using the same window over and over again.
I'm just seeing what what's going on through my client's website.
Yeah,
so a contact is created, but it's saying like direct traffic when I'm
okay, yeah. So it's misidentifying. So that's what I was getting at. So it's misidentifying the visitor out of the gate, even though the UTMs are present.
That's right. And what I've noticed is like early on in the month, it was actually recording all that. It's almost like all my GMB stuff, just the regular GMB link, not the appointment link or anything like that. This is gone. Like it's just not tracking it.
So if you click the GMB link, right, and then grab that URL and throw it in an incognito window, I mean that's the same link, right?
Yeah.
And then do a form registration. Does it work for you? Does it correctly attribute?
I could try that.
Try that, and then stare at the UTM really hard to make sure that there's no %20s or weirdness in them for some reason.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. So,
but just try that. Just try that manual test and see if it works.
Okay.
Because it just seems like a funny one. And then try to maybe jump on with if you could replicate it, that would be awesome. Because then maybe jump on with success.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one is from Mary. Appreciate a review of the social roadmap, specifically Instagram, Facebook group posting, LinkedIn. When will it be included in the configurator? Will social post statistics be visible within Go High Level?
Pooja for the win. Pooja, that one's yours. I see it. You're here.
Sorry, I missed it
You're
out.
good.
Yeah. Can
And by the way, Pooja is the product manager for social media. So she's done a phenomenal job getting that live. So sorry, Pooja, go for it.
Nico, can you just repeat it out? Like, what was the question?
Yeah, of course. So the question is, appreciate a review of the social roadmap, specifically Instagram, Facebook group posting, and LinkedIn. And when will it be included in the configurator? And will the social post statistics be visible within Go High Level?
Okay, so in our case, we have decided this as the roadmap. So Facebook group and Instagram will be going out by end of March. That's what the timeline that we are looking at. And post that, we are going to focus on LinkedIn and Twitter as our socials. The second thing, which we are seeing that, the whole detailed view of the post, like once somebody has posted it out and there should be a detailed view about likes, comments, and shares. That is something that we are going to look at it after working through the main socials done, like the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So once these are fixed, then we'll look at the scope of adding like detailed view of comments and likes and shares. Yeah, I guess.
Awesome.
And what about being included in the SaaS configurator?
So regarding that, regarding that, we have already had an internal discussion inside our team. We might be doing it in the next quarter. That's what like the last discussion we had. Yep.
But isn't this just adding the option to the configurator, turning the feature on or off on the configurator?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we have already given, so we had internal discussion between me and Shivam. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be done much sooner than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I was asking, because next quarter is a long time. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said for LinkedIn and Twitter timeline.
Yeah. So regarding LinkedIn and Twitter, like we are going to focus it in the April month because they are new to our platform. So we'll require a lot of scope and everything to be tested more thoroughly. So we are going to focus on LinkedIn and Twitter in month of April.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next question's from Stephanie. Would we be able to pull in custom fields into tags? I know there's a concern about having field data be far too long, but we could put a character limit on a text box to accomplish this. I have a use case that I can share as well.
Yes, Stephanie, can you share that use case?
Of course. So one of the main ones that is going to be used across like different clients and stuff is we set up this referral system for internal, but this would also be super helpful for other clients so we can give it to them as well. But I have two forms, one for the referral and one for the referrer. And on, if this works, this is the problem that we're having, sorry. So on the referrer or referral, it asks referred by, so there's that custom field. And I would like to be able to tag or with that, like just name. So it doesn't have to like being able to like maybe put a character limit on a text box when we know that we're going to use it for a tag or something like that. But being able to pull in either like names for the referral, the other one here is the referrer, and it's the same kind of thing, but then I ask for the contact referred. So then on both ends, it's being marked, but I would love to be able to tag off of that as well. So then the workflow for it, for the referral, there's like all of this stuff. And right now I'm just tagging them X-referred, but I'd love to be able to do X- like contact referred or X- referred by. And there's other use cases like for networking groups, like wanting to have them type in what group they're part of instead of having like a 50 long checkbox where you may not have all the options and like stuff like that. but I totally get where having custom fields could get too long, hence why I mentioned the character limit on maybe just text boxes or something like that.
Have you tried using the multi-select custom field, like the checkboxes? Would that not solve the purpose?
Yes, but for a lot of these, it could, like with the referrals, we may not have a checkbox option for that referral. It could be somebody new, or for the networking groups, there could be people all across the world and we don't know what all those groups options are. And so that could be a very, very long checkbox that doesn't necessarily cover everybody and the options. So being able to have like a small text box where they just type it in, of course, you know, there's typos and stuff that can happen and that's unavoidable, but same thing happens when people put in their emails and their phone numbers. And yeah, so having like a character limit on a small text box, like maybe like, you know, 30 characters, and then that's as long as a tag can get or something like that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Cool. So I'll just add it to my list. Let me just sort of run this use case down with the team and we'll see.
Yeah, of course. And then feel free to reach out to me if you need any more examples or anything.
Yeah.
So I really love the referral use case in general, and we should take this offline and think about it more. And this is where Shaw shines like nobody's business. He's a very holistic thinker. But I could see lots and lots and lots of scenarios where we should be encouraging our customers to run referral campaigns. And I think we should box them out in a way where it sort of works the way it should, which is you don't have to string it together. You don't have to workflow it out necessarily. It's a thing, right? Like it's a feature. To me, I think that's the way I would love to see us head in that direction. And because I can't imagine, it's just, I don't want to take Rob Bailey's term, but with the reactivation campaigns, are a huge hit. And I feel like referrals in a great way are like the third leg of the stool on that, because I always think of it as, there's the reactivation campaign in terms of take the list of people you haven't seen in the last 6 months or whatever, send out the text, that's one. And then I always tell people do the next one, which is the review campaign, which is take the people you have seen in the last 6 months and send something out, right? And then this is like, in my opinion, is like the third bite at the apple, right? You could go back a month later and say, oh, hey, and by the way, if you refer a friend, we'll, run a prize for you or whatever, like we got to be careful of contest rules, but whatever the thing is, please, we'd love it if you'd refer a friend. So I think of it as a feature. And I think
I'd be happy to share with anybody that's interested how I built it, because I think it's really cool because I have it like following up for us automatically with that person. And and then it sends the other referrer an email that thanks for referring us to this person and stuff. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Thank you.
I'd love to see it, Steph.
Just shoot me a Facebook message or an email, stephanie@cultivatingsales.com, and I'd be happy to show anyone.
Prepare for your inbox to be inundated.
Thanks, low price of $297. You too could learn about.
I gotta come up with a price
referral
first,
snapshot. I have a course to sell you. All right, Nico, what's next?
Next one's from Steve. Are there any plans to enable us to track video stats such as average view length, etc.?
I think Nilashish is here, so he can take that.
Yeah, Nico, I missed your question. Please, can you come again?
Yeah. Are there any plans to enable us to track video stats such as an average view length, etc.?
Yep. So the plan is a lot more than that in terms of statistics, but we don't have an immediate ETA for it. Maybe we'll figure this out in the next quarter. And that being said, it might be somewhere in at the end of next quarter, but yeah, definitely not the immediate roadmap.
Would you have to, do you think that you'd have to create your own player to do that?
So we are figuring out ways. Yes, Varun, go ahead.
Steve, to answer your question, we don't. A lot of the existing players that are in the market allow you to hook in and send these events. And there's again two approaches. We can track this on the server side or the client side. On the server side, we can look at all of the different chunks the clients requested and figure out how far they got. Or on the client, we can send events, but we don't have to build our own player. There's an easier route there.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks.
Yep. And that being said, there are like more important stats that we are looking to bring into the analytics section. So yep, that's the part of the whole overall plan.
Beautiful.
Well, wait, one other thing another idea is that you make triggers off of that, so that obviously if a person only watches 25% of the video versus 75%, we can send out emails or whatever based upon their, whatever.
Yeah. So I think the day this gets built, that's exactly how it will work. So we've been, that's how we've been thinking to build it. We've just been thinking for a year, but I think it'll get done sometime in the next quarter.
So in terms of triggers, we are coming up with things like lesson not completed and category not completed, all those stuffs. But said that when we have the percentage completion in place, we'll definitely roll those down.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Steve. Next one is from Brian. New appointment model is live. Thanks for this. Is there a reason why it didn't make into the edit opportunity module? Opportunities into opportunity, click the card, book/update appointment.
Yeah, that's one of the next items we have on the list. The reason why we didn't do it is because that opportunity model itself is also not optimized to support the layout that we have in the new booking flow. So we will have to again sort of go back and think about the opportunity model too holistically to see what all we can incorporate besides just appointments. So yeah, so that's coming up in the next quarter.
Great.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Next one is from James. Now that social media posting is out, how soon is Facebook ad comments coming?
Yeah, so that's sort of like the social inbox component. And I don't know, that's going to ultimately be on Shaw's plate, I think.
Pooja.
Oh, Pooja, just kidding. Well, they'll have to sort of talk to each other because it will, the way I envision it is it'll work itself into conversations. But I would say realistically Q3 is when we'll start to have that discussion.
Awesome. Next one is from Justice. We need to charge taxes based on the client's location. This has been done from high levels and via API to Stripe. We can't use payments without it. Stripe is a merchant and can charge different taxes when doing so differently through them.
All right.
And Nico, there is one thing.
Question. Oh yeah, you missed a question from Don.
I apologize. I'm sorry. Next one's from Don. What about being able to mark an invoice as paid? Many local businesses take alternate payments such as cash, checks, etc., and they can't track their invoices fully in high level without that.
Yes, so we are currently working on this. So we got feedback around this particular item. So there is a submit feedback option on the invoices. So there were feedbacks, a lot of them actually. And this is one of the prominent ones. So it is already, we have designed the user experience and it is in the works right now. Probably a couple of weeks, it should be available. So we are going to integrate two things into one. So you will be able to record alternate payment options, cash, check, bank transfer, etc., and just record it, create an invoice, record it as paid. At the same time, you can also, if you have the customer on phone and if they give you the credit card number, you should be able to just type that in and record that payment right away. So these two features will be done together and probably a couple of weeks, in about a couple of weeks.
Awesome. So then back to Justice's question, and I'll repeat it one more time. We need to charge taxes based on the client's location. This has been done from high levels and via API to Stripe. We can't use payments without it. Stripe is a merchant and can charge different taxes when doing so directly through them.
So on the taxes perspective, we have started working in that direction. So if you're noticed on payments, there's a tax settings option. So you will be able to create the taxes and identify what is the percentage, etc. So this is like, it gives a complete plug and play model. So you can define, let's say, Texas tax, state tax, or Dallas County tax and things like that. So and when you attach, when you create an invoice, you can attach them into different products wherever it is applicable. So that is an option that we have given, and in future we will be adding this tax configuration into the products area of high level as well. So whenever you sell that product in funnels or through any means, automatically the tax will get calculated. That is in the roadmap. So with the invoices, we have started moving in the direction to start including taxes as one of the features with the payment collection. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, NASA. Next one is from Brian. Would it be possible to drastically reduce the time zone list in Go High Level so that we can mitigate user and lead mistakes of selecting the wrong time zone?
Yeah, I have that on my list. We just need to scope this out better. I mean, because one of the things is that we don't want to give you like a configurable option for like all these small little edge cases. So I have that on this list. Maybe there's another solution to it, but then yeah, I definitely have this noted down. We'll do something about this.
Awesome.
Any idea when you might get around to it?
So again, we are trying to do it like in a very selective way. Like if you've seen the new booking model, like we try to introduce, we try to give you like upfront like some of the time zones that might be relevant to you. So I guess we'll see how we could pair this. But then yeah, it's not for this quarter, or I mean I don't
Brian,
have ETA to this.
Is this on the widget or is this inside the app? Is this a user inside high level?
It's really I have the problem. I have the problem on both sides. We have sales agents using the application internally all over the country and prospects all over the country only in the United States, and have lots of issues on both sides of that relationship, both by leads and prospects booking and users where the wrong time zone is selected. For example, like a time zone in the other part of the world that has no relevance.
North America, South America is a very common case. Like you guys have identical time zones in some cases, but then the South America countries, they don't support.
This is just the concept of having a popular or common list at the top and then splitting it to all at the bottom. I mean, that's just
maybe that is a solution.
If I'm in the United States, I'm going to see West Coast, Mountain, Central, Eastern. That I'm done here, right? Like that's basically what people want to see, because that
would be amazing.
Yeah,
and we need to do the same thing for Europe and Asia. I mean, there's just a common list across the board of what people show, and I think that we just need to create a heuristic of every time there's a time zone, the new time zone picker has a popular section or whatever that's relative to where you're sitting, and then the all other down below.
That would be awesome.
And Shaw, I bet you money you can find a good example someplace of somebody who does this well.
Yeah.
Great. Next question is from Glenn. It's a 3-prong update on the CRM enhancements, please. He's asking for an organization object, additional attributes on contact records, integration with Gmail/Outlook to create records in Go High Level, and thread into conversations.
Ooh. So basically, the third one is CC/BCC. So yeah, there is no ETA for that yet.
Well, not hold on, Sean. Not just BCC and CCS, but I'm talking about an email comes in to Gmail, and then we click a button that creates a contact and brings it in to GHL.
Oh yeah, talking about that plugin, right? Which you've shown me one of the days. Yeah, so that's also there on my list. It's just that we're waiting for team members to join. So we've rolled out a few offers, and as soon as these guys are on, so we have earmarked like 2 resources each for these areas, which for each of the 3 areas that you described. So as soon as they are in, we'll be able to give you an ETA. But unfortunately now, it wouldn't be wise. But it is. We have all the intention to do this. I can tell you.
I know you do. And it's just I've been waiting a long time. So
no, I totally get it. We have a guy full time, our engineering lead, sort of hiring like this entire quarter. So we're just trying to make sure that we give him as much like support and more. I mean, morally, so that he's able to close the hirings and we're able to get all of these things out. It's not a question of if, actually. It's a question of when, really, to answer your question for all those 3 items. So as soon as we are on to you.
And that would also take care of in what you're talking about doing, also incorporate CC, BCC, being able to send multiple emails to a business with multiple contacts in it.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. I want to be very careful with the words because that's one direction which will require us to fundamentally re-architect a lot of things. So that's a decision which will involve Sean, Varun, and everyone kind of, just chiming in and really telling us whether that is the direction we want to take. I'll be sort of lobbying for you. I mean, at least on this part. I mean, I certainly think we should do that. But again, if Sean and Varun feels otherwise, then we'll have to sort of improvise a little bit. But we'll definitely be able to help you with an alternative somewhere, because like we know that you've been waiting for it for a very long time.
So there's no time frame, basically, is what you're telling me.
We're hiring our full heads off. We have our all of our top engineers are no longer engineering, they're interviewing full time. And so that is the absolute fastest way to everything that doesn't exist, that's the absolute fastest way to get there. So I can't imagine doing any more than we're currently doing. And so if you can find me some top level ACE engineers who want to join tomorrow and can pass muster, feel free to send them along. But I got to tell you, we have our best and brightest not doing any kind of engineering work. They're just sitting around interviewing people nonstop. So as soon as we get people on board, we'll get going.
And I know that, and I understand. I'm sympathetic to where you guys are. I'm not, an unreasonable person. I would think that this would be something that you guys would be hammered on a lot.
No, we're not, because most marketing agencies are not in the CRM business, and so ultimately, what we get hammered on is funnel builders, website builders, social media posting, blogging, traditional marketing agency turf. The CRM is, and this is actually a very important thing. I love the CRM. I see it as incredibly important. I'm right there with you as far as the value of it. But for most people, it's teaching them the value of that because they already know the value of the things that I just mentioned, right? Because these are the things they run every day for their clients. Versus you're approaching this in the way that I wish everyone would, which is more holistically with trying to bring in the marketing and the CRM, right? But you're kind of leading with the CRM a little bit more maybe than some people are leading with marketing. And that's why we're lagging behind there.
It's interesting. I mean, I would just think like from, funnel builder perspective, there's funnel builders out there. It's just driving someone to a result, as opposed to the CRM is the whole core of management of the business that you're doing business.
Oh, I totally agree with you. But how many marketing agencies today wake up and say, you know what, my first priority is I'm going to sell my client a good CRM system? Is that today they don't feel like that's their domain. Now, I think otherwise, and we're on very much on a mission to change that outlook, but it doesn't change the reality on the ground. So if we had the most amazing CRM on the planet, we actually wouldn't be here, because the marketing agencies, Robin always says, sell them what they want, give them what they need. And we always have to remind ourselves of these things, because if I don't sell you what it is that you want, I can sit around trying to tell you what you need all day, but you're not going to listen to me. So I got to get you in the 10 on social media posting or website building or something else before I can even get your attention on all these other things. So that's why we've done the strategy we have. And unfortunately, guys like you who are a little bit around the curve already are going to get shorted in the short term. But I promise you, by the end of this year, these will no longer be concerns.
Yeah. And again, I understand you only have a certain amount of resources. I'm really amazed that I seem like somewhat of a unicorn in the sense that
you're just the voice of us, Glenn. We let you be the voice because we know you're going to bring it up. So keep on bringing it up, because I definitely want those features too.
I can't imagine anything more sticky than getting people to log into your CRM and use it and create appointments, do everything they have to do. I can't imagine anything more sticky than that. To me, I don't see myself as a marketing agency. I see myself really, I'm a software background.
And I don't think you're holistically wrong, but I also think you got to realize that most people, if you look at adoption rates of CRMs, in fact, go look at every CRM people buy. If you really sat down with most of those people and said, hey, show me what you use this really fancy CRM you bought, and there's a million of them that are out there, I think the vast majority of people don't use their CRMs at all or barely use them at all.
Just point to Salesforce. I mean, you want to see what CRM power is all about.
Absolutely, yeah. Classically, enterprise clients, super large customer bases, high numbers of employees. Absolutely, dedicated resources within an organization that can run around and implement these things. But I'm talking about the average SMB on the street, the vast majority of American business. No way, no how, no sir.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not the answer I want.
You're not. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. It's not the answer I want either. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm a software engineer. I'm a pretty logical person, but I've learned over time you got to deal with the cards you're dealt. And in our case, the best way into a business, if you talk to the average plumber, doctor, lawyer, dentist, and you say, "Hey, do you want an awesome way to organize your data and have a kick-ass CRM?" They're like, "No, I want more customers, bro." And you're like, "Hey, okay. Can I get you some more customers?" They're like, "Yeah, I want more customers. Yeah, I want more Google reviews," because that's how they think, because that's where their mindset's at. So you got to meet them there. And that does not start with CRM, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Glenn.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next one is from Mary Sue. Is consolidating email statistics on the roadmap? Trying to educate users on where to look for statistics is painful.
Good call.
Yeah, that's a good, I mean, that's true. I mean, what do you have in mind when you talk about consolidation? Like, do you have like a dashboard in mind where you see all these numbers from across workflows, bulk actions, email builders, and all of that? Or what do you have in mind when you
yeah, so I guess my experience is with Active Campaign, where you could go to one place and you could see all of your emails you'd see your email listed one right after another. And I think I can go into an old account and just show you what it looked like, but you could see it as a grid, all of your emails in one place, which was very helpful.
What does that do for you? Like, really, like, say if you are doing a bulk action, right? You would have your statistics there, so you know that for this particular campaign that you did on a bulk action, these were the stats. When you do it on a workflow, you get it locally there. But then so when you want to aggregate it in like one place, what kind of
well, if people, so I get people that want to be able to look at historically, like what is hitting their audience, what are people opening, what are they clicking. I know it's very contextual, which I don't mind that. It's hard to teach people.
I think the idea here, so think about our dashboard, Shaw. It's like, here's how many opportunities you have. Here's how much money we're making you. Here's how many sales you're closing, right? Where do those sales come from? Oh, they could have come from 30 different places, but I'm the business owner, right? I just want to sit down. I was just like, I got 5 seconds for you. What do you want to show me, right? And Mary Sue wants to be like, hey, we sent 1,000 emails. You don't have to know where they came from, how they got there, whatever. But X percentage are being opened, X percentage are being clicked. And actually, I have a crazy idea of creating email ROI, which we can all talk about later on. But ideally, it'd be like, here's how much money these emails made you, right? That's what they're looking for. They just want the byline. And I think that this is something, just so you know, Mary Sue, one of the things I will get out in Q2 is this daily snapshot activity, something or other thing. Our weekly success report is what I'm going to call it. And this is exactly what people like, Shaw. They just like, think about Las Vegas, okay? People love lights and sounds and flashy things. That's like and then they like take money out of their pocket and throw it at these machines all day long. Why? It's because they flash at them and they create dopamine hits in their brain. This is the idea. People want this just sort of like quick hit, like what's going on with my business? I've got 2 minutes to look at this. I just want to make sure things are directionally going the way I want them to. And these marketing people that I'm paying like obscene amounts of money to, because that's how all the clients think, are doing a great job for me. That's all they're looking for, because then they got to jump back in the van and get down the road to the next job. And so what Mary Sue's trying to do, and I think a lot of people will like, is just that idea of like quick summary hits. Even though you're right, Shaw, you're absolutely correct, as always, that they do come from disparate places and it doesn't make a lot of contextual sense. But again, that's human nature for you, not facts.
Yeah, because like another thing that I've created, I have to put it into a spreadsheet right now. I have to put in their emails so it's easier for them to see, as well as the other thing I've created is a way of tracking how many new subscribers are they getting every month. Like those are things that like I was logged into ConvertKit. First thing you see is a chart view of how many subscribers they've gotten every day. You'd see it every month, every week. Usually they're very few, but I'm sure they like.
And for the record, you know what? I will say I am no different, even though I know this, it just ingrained in my soul. I look at two things every single day. I look at the total amount of traffic on the website through Google Analytics, and I look at the total number of trials signed up for the day. I do this at least 30 times a day. Can't help it.
So I think that if I was going to give my opinion, I'm with Mary Sue. I think we should have a like a dash like a dashboard with the widgets that we choose.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Yeah.
If we want our or if the client wants to see, the number of calls that came in for that week, then they see the number of calls. If they want to see the number of emails subscribers that they've gotten for that month, then they see that. I mean, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that is like exactly the direction that I've at least had in mind. But again, those dimensions that you talked about, right? The number of calls, number of this, it's something which I think, again, we haven't really started thinking about it, but then that's largely one of the things which I'm inspired by when I see other CRM tools. When you look at HubSpot, when you look at other places, basically they actually democratize everything. They give you the power to sort of create the visualizations you'd want. And given that we would also want to have a CRM that kind of lets you kind of configure the platform the way you would want for yourself or your clients, it sort of fits into that mission very well. It's just that I'm trying to sort of collate as many use cases as we potentially can today, so that when we get to it, we are able to work with all the information that we've got. So, but yeah, I think that was really helpful, Marisu. So I will also connect with you on this to sort of better understand the platforms that you referred to, like ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign, to see what stats you're kind of deriving value out of. And then, yeah,
well, what about using something like, agency analytics or one of the hundreds of metric rating platforms that are out there, and just drive endpoints of data into it? Just allow us to connect sources and drive endpoints of data. We create our own dashboards in those products. It's $100 a month product. I mean, I don't know why you want to rebuild something like completely like that and not do the CRM. To me, that's crazy. But I don't. There's hundreds of tools. There's hundreds of tools out there to do that stuff.
Of course, it's not like we're going to deprioritize CRM. It's and again, it's more of when for your item as well as for Mary Sue's item.
No. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to turn this into me. I mean,
no. He's just saying. Now he's saying like, I don't know why you guys are nuts. So nutty that you won't enhance the CRM, but I think you are nutty for wanting to put in your own reporting. He's like, why don't you just
there's so many tools out
reporting package, right?
Yeah, and then later on maybe integrate it. But I mean, there's so many tools out there that you can integrate to that would give you statistics of any kind of dashboards, 3D graphs, bar charts, anything you want. There's hundreds. There's many of them out there.
What do you think, Mary Sue? Like, have you looked into any of them?
Really basic stuff. So
here's what I think.
My clients are not. They're not.
Yeah. See, I'm with Mary Sue, so I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says that. But I think the reality is that the answer lies. The answer is both, right? So I think that it is holistically doable and appropriate for us to create basic reporting that will do the job for about 80% of the people. And then for those people who want really custom visualizations, I think making that data available through the API, through integrations with other platforms, is also a great idea as well. And I suspect that that's already well and underway. The API team will eventually put reporting statistics and data and information, if it's not already there. I mean, it can be done today. And by the way, if anybody knows the folks over at Agency Analytics, we have an open API. I'd be shocked to find they couldn't create an integration themselves right now. So feel free to call them. But on our end, I think the best thing we should pursue is a good middle ground strategy of having basic analytics. Because again, I would say realistically, 80% of the people, we can do just fine. And I think that's the strategy we'll go at.
I think it's great to have it. I'm just saying, with limited resources that you have currently,
so you're misconstruing the limited resources though, Glenn. Yeah. It's not like I have a budget for 5 people, and those 5 people will either get be on the reporting team or the CRM team. I have an unlimited budget, and I can hire as many people as we absolutely need. Well, it's not unlimited, sadly, but I have enough to hire as many people as necessary to run down both of those things and a heck of a lot more. But it is a lot harder to hire people than you could imagine. In fact, it is. And I would say that was already true. But have you like heard about the Great Resignation and all this stuff? This is like the hardest time ever to hire people, especially software engineers. It has gotten just cataclysmically harder, but that's okay. It's not a bad situation. It's not like we're struggling at it. We're actually having great luck, and we're finding fantastic people. It just takes the time that it takes. And I got to tell you, it annoys the heck out of me, but I have looked at this from 6 different ways. We have some of the smartest, most talented people I've ever worked with my entire career working on it. And I don't know that I couldn't tell them to do a better job. It's a function of time.
Yeah, no, I assume it is. And that's kind of why I'm presenting this argument that I'm presenting from the standpoint of, if you're dealing with that, if that is an issue, if you can't get people on fast enough to do those things, why take on all these different projects all across the board, as opposed to fixing and polishing the things that are there that need to be cleaned up, and partnering or connecting or integrating to things that would fill the holes that are the really big projects that you need to do that you don't have the staffing for. It just seems counterproductive. You've taken on so much that you can't cover it all, instead of just, let's partner up with this really great tool for this and this thing for this. I know that's inevitably not where you want to be. You're trying to be an all-in-one Swiss Army knife, but timing wise is preventing you from doing that with the reasons as you described. So I'm just, I don't know. Just,
I mean, you're absolutely right. And so I'll be the first person to say that we make mistakes all the time, and many of those are my dumb decisions. So I take full faith and credit for those dumb decisions. But what I will say is I still live by the 80-20 rule, which is 20% of the features do about 80% of the lift. And so invariably, what I've learned over time is being able to say you do social media posting, even if somebody can come in and say, you don't do YouTube and you don't do TikTok and you don't do LinkedIn, and you don't do this and you don't do that, way better to just say, I do social media posting, than wait till you have every last little channel. Because again, it's the skateboard concept. You want to create a race car. So most people, they start with the frame, and then they want to add the wheels, and then when they add the axles, and then when they add the engine, and the whole time you got nothing that anybody can use. Well, we do the opposite. We start with a skateboard. We're like, we're going for the race car, but here's a skateboard. Yeah, you can hate on the skateboard all you want, but it's usable. It's got 4 wheels. You can roll down the street. It may not have the engine. It may not go as fast as you want, but the reality is it's usable. So what we find is some people can use it, and we get a lot of people who do use it, and we make it better over time. So if I sat around and made the absolute best, in fact, good point being, there are best in class products in every single thing that we do today that are way, way, way better than what we do. And guess what? Don't care. It doesn't matter, because most people don't use the vast majority of those niche features. That does mean that we will often miss some people in our path for some time to come, but I'm okay with that strategy. And so far it's worked out pretty well.
Yep. I get it.
Awesome. So the next question is from James. Yeah, next one's from James. Because the lead source report data comes from free form text entry box, it is prone to duplicates and fat fingers. Can we make the source a customizable multiple option box to avoid this?
Yeah, I have that on my list. That's also an item that we just need some time to be able to really think about it in a lot of different perspectives and ways, and how it sort of interacts and with different modules like automations and the core CRM and all of that. So yes, it is on the list, and as far as the ETA, it doesn't exist at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Next one is from Gus. What do you guys -- anyone use for webinars inside of GHL to work with tag/triggers?
In what way? Who do you want to pop off mute?
Yeah, in general. So if I've got people on a Zoom or a different webinar, I can tell when they drop off and send out triggers like, dude, we saw you left for 35 minutes. It must suck from here. So from now on, you are in for $47.95. Or whatever. I'm of course injecting humor, but to have triggers for events, so you can have a whole snapshot and a whole slew of things that fly out when they drop by or do the OTO and all kinds of fun things like that.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, as we explored earlier with Zoom, they don't give you those types of triggers at the moment.
Actually, they do. You can go in there, pull a report, and they'll tell you when they drop out to the second. Everything is there.
Right, but not in Zapier is my point. So like you couldn't easily action off of it. Maybe you could do it through the API. But it is something, I mean, Shivam's on here. We had a conversation the other day about, what would it look like to have Twilio's voice conferencing built into the app? And is that something, that a lot of people would use? As of right now, I mean, I think you'd have to try to figure it out through the API if Zoom would give you that capability, but it's not something you typically see in like Zapier or Zaps at the moment.
So it can be done. We had a few meetings with Zoom. We are trying to find out a few use cases of how video technology can sort of be a step change in the agency world. But the use cases are there. For example, the one that you mentioned, that I'm doing a webinar, any person who stays for more than 80% of the time or whatever gets a different offer. And so there could be use cases like that. It can be done from a technical perspective. The only question is how many people would really use it? And how many people really want to use it in this manner?
I would think, okay, just I've got a different niche that really would not use it. However, realtors, I would imagine if you are housing realtors on a CRM and you've got 100 realtors, you pitch webinars to them, have it preset in their snapshots, talk them into going live on Facebook and whatever they can do. I see a huge use case scenario for getting a shit ton of original content out there by do-it-yourself plumbers, whatever. I mean, I can just see a lot. I could be wrong because I have a fantastic imagination, but I see it could be happening. So that's just my 2 cents worth, and I would use it, not a ton, but if it's available and all of a sudden I find it a good ROI on it and I'm having fun, I'll be in that every day.
Got it. So I think that's the challenge over there, because this integration is going to be costly. It's technically, it requires a lot of talent. Video conferencing just by its nature is very intensive on a lot of systems. It would come as a paid integration. And whenever we want to build a paid integration, it becomes an entirely different ballgame, right? Like people, it's not like it's available and I'm going to use it once a while. It has to be, I'm going to pay for this to use it, and I'm going to use it actively, and this is going to create meaningful outcome for my business. So that's the only thing that we are sort of struggling with. All options are on the table. We haven't made up our mind yet. We are just looking for more interesting use cases. So maybe I'll just connect with you and you could walk me through, how like the use case for real estate or, like different niches that you deal with. All options are open at the moment.
Excellent. Sounds great. Thank you very much. I'll reach out to you.
Thanks, Gus. Next question is from Brian. When it comes to labs and the new features released in beta via labs, who has access to this? How is it granted or revoked? Do all users and roles get it? Only certain ones? If labs is on, does this mean new features go default on or default off?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the feature really. Some product managers choose to keep the feature default on for everyone. Some people choose to do default off. That's how it's been today. And it is, the feature in itself is available to everyone in that account. And there's a flag at the agency level that reads beta features. And the moment you turn off that beta features, it sort of unsubscribes everyone from the beta. And I guess that's pretty much how it works today. And there is another program that we do parallelly that's on beta.gohighlevel.com. It was initially started out as like an internal beta, but then it sort of became like a beta program where customers also started to partake. But slowly and gradually, we will start to consolidate things around labs. And so far, I mean, I think the biggest value that we are kind of deriving out of labs is that we are giving an instant kill switch to folks whose typical workflows are disrupted because of the new addition or anything that we are making. So yeah, that's basically how labs is kind of currently being utilized.
Yeah, it's really nice. Just a little bit more clarity on it, like going forward into the future. So because my user base tends to be a bit older, and so although a lot of the new features that you guys are putting in labs and the manner in which you're releasing over there is very helpful. It would be awesome to have just another level of control so that, like I've got over, a couple hundred users on the platform, and I know who kind of my super users and savvy people are. I could, deploy it to just those people, or at least, have control on the default on versus default off, so that I don't become aware of a new feature that's released in labs by inbound support tickets to our support team. And then I could actually control, become aware of, like with the new appointment modal as an example, it kind of flipped the script on how time zones are handled in the app. And so I kind of had to, turn it on at night and figure out the tool, and then teach my clients about it, because a lot of them, we had to train them how time zones were handled before, and now how they're handled this. And so having a little bit more permissioning and control around who gets it, when they get it, versus just like sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't, would be super, super helpful. But having the labs area as a starting point and having a mechanism for rolling these out is super appreciated in the meantime.
Yeah, no, point taken. I think we've had lots of feedback around having some bit of control on basically the kinds of things that you're describing. It's just a matter of when, and also just it was more like we wanted an instant kill switch, so we just put together something.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because previously that wasn't the case. It was just like, here it is. I'm like, okay, great, cool. I gotta revamp a whole section of training or whatever it may be. So yeah, no, it's a great improvement for sure.
But then point taken. I think it's a good feedback. We try and work through that too.
Very good, thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Brian. Next one is from James. A lot of the column names in the contact overview view are short, like type or source. Can we make sure these are descriptive as possible, and that the column names match the input box names on the contact record?
Contact view, is that the contact smart list page?
James, are you here?
Yes. So if you keep reading, I think
got it.
if you keep going down, like lead source, or I think customer source. So there's if you're having your own custom fields, right, and they have, if you guys are shortening the column names, then it's hard to distinguish what those are, and a lot of them are being shortened.
Yeah, that is true. We are actually in the process of not designing, really finalizing a tabular component that sort of tries to solve these kinds of issues, like around usability. So I think the solution to this might come out sooner than you think. So it's just a matter of finding that right tabular component which would sort of address all of these issues. And as far as the discrepancy in names, the naming convention is concerned, that is also something which we are starting to iron out over the sprints. Basically try to squeeze as much as what we have discovered in, and try to alleviate that.
Thank you.
Great. Next one is from Justice. What is the update on the integration with Outlook?
For calendars or for something else?
I think it's a email integration. This is sort of the same answer as before. It's just based on staffing and how fast we can staff up.
Okay. Next one is Mary Sue, Twilio ISV. This is still in beta. I'd rather wait until this is out of beta to move. Is there urgency to move now, or am I okay to wait? I'm not having excessive charges.
Siobhan? Maybe not.
Oh yeah, really sorry, I missed that. Could you just repeat it?
Yeah, for sure. Twilio ISV. This is still in beta. I'd rather wait until this is out of beta to move. Is there urgency to move now, or am I okay to wait? I'm not having any excess charges or excessive charges.
Yeah, so a lot of that depends upon Twilio. So here's the thing. Twilio said that from 1st of March, the additional carrier charges would kick in. It hasn't happened so far. No one knows exactly what to make of this situation. I would advise you, if all of your clients are in the US and US only, like you don't deal with Mexico. So the reason ISV is in beta, a big reason for that is regulatory bundles. If you operate purely in the United States, you could just reach out to our support and start moving gradually to the ISV. The carrier charges haven't started yet. But again, like I wouldn't want to advise that please don't take any action, take it easy or something like that. Yeah, so I think reach out to your Twilio reps, reach out to Twilio and ask them that when is it really going to happen? And based upon that, just make your decision, reach out to our support. We can start enabling the ISV for you.
But as far as the release timeframe for the ISV, I think it's important to talk through that. So when is the release timeframe?
I think Shivam and team are planning end of March. So I think by the end of the quarter, it should be live. And like he said, the beta isn't because we have any issues with the ISV. The beta is just because we don't support other countries, and we don't want to let agencies in who have customers in multiple countries like the UK, Australia, all over the place, and then suddenly we're not able to support it. So once we add the bundles, it'll go live. But if your customers are all in the US, it's perfectly ready. You can jump in right away.
For what it's worth, ours are all in the US and we're on the ISV totally now and it works fine.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah.
On
A
that,
lot
is
of
there-
people in the
Oh, I was just going to ask, is there a CNAM registration? I saw on the page that it said it's not ready yet, but when it comes out of beta, will that be a possibility?
So the CNAM registration are actually tabled for Q2. So in Q1, we just want to get the ISV up and running. All the current functionality that you have in high level as of today, all of that would be available with the ISV account. From there would be some exclusive features built only on the ISV, because we can, like if you want us to do a CNAM registration or if you want us to launch WhatsApp sender agent from your Twilio account, all of that was not possible. But on the ISV, all of these things will become possible. And that's why WhatsApp is going to work exclusively on ISV. CNAM, these registrations are going to work exclusively on ISV. So we will start moving in that direction, but in Q2.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll also say that the high-level team has done a fantastic job. Shivam has done a great job with, yesterday I moved one account with 38 numbers over and it was done like in 15 minutes. Twilio moved it over and it's just a really flawless process now.
So I ran into a problem. I ran into a problem. I'm on the beta with the ISV, but the two issues I ran into were I had a customer who was looking for like a vanity type of number, and you can do that in Twilio. You can say I want the number to have this string of prefix or suffix or whatever. Can't do that if you're pulling numbers from the GHL search. And the other issue is in a hosted environment where you want to migrate the landline number to accept it. You can't do that in there. So I actually requested to get reversed out of the beta at this point, which it's been 4 weeks and I don't know if I'm in or out because I can't get an answer on it from support. So that was the only thing that I ran into with the beta to handle those kind of scenarios. I also was looking at using Twilio's data studio, the call studio, data studio, to be able to do a situation where we have a customer using missed call text back, but instead of forcing them to change their phone number, we just wanted to set up a thing, press 1 if you want to be texted, and then trigger it from that. We were able to do that, by the way, with a little bit of magic. But so those are things that I don't know how you're going to deal with those things in the future with the ISV.
So I would take that. And Glenn, there's a reason I'm very unapologetic about this situation, and I'll tell you why. All of the people on the call, whoever has gotten on a call with me to test out the beta system, I have given very clear indication. If your clients are outside USA, the beta is not for you. If you have advanced functionality with Twilio Studio, the beta is not for you. If you have a lot of advanced and third-party integrations, if you're using your Twilio account somewhere else, if you want to do this hi-fi stuff, the ISV beta is not for you.
Right.
if you have a very simple use case of whatever functionality high level provides, you don't want to do the A2P 10 DLC for each and every client. If you want us to do it for you without any additional charge, you can come on the ISV and start using it. That's a very simple pitch. Now, with the situation that you are in right now, and this is again something that everyone should know, once your agency goes into the ISV, it becomes very, very difficult to take the agency back out. Because then some accounts are with your Twilio, some accounts are with us, and then we need to change the defaults again. All of this is manual work in the database. But what we can do for you is, let's say you move to the ISV and you're like, you know what, actually 4 of my clients want to use their own Twilio. Or I did not, I wasn't quite ready to move 4 of my clients over. All of those things are possible, but changing the agency default, that's an entirely different discussion.
Yeah, I think the problem and I'll say it's my fault. I have no problem taking responsibility. I'm just saying, I think the problem was I assumed I could just pick and choose what customers would fall under that environment and which ones wouldn't. I didn't realize, I think it was being turned on for everything. So then every sub account going forward that I create that is automatically handled by ISV. I didn't want that because I wanted the ability to control who would fall under those parameters. I wanted to be managed that way. So that's, again, because it was a new feature and, we're not necessarily all clear on how it works exactly. I said, yeah, make me beta, but I didn't realize that doing that was going to, every single customer I have going forward is going to fall under that. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to have the ability to take simple customers and push them into the ISV. I want to be able to do that, but I don't want to put everybody in the ISV.
Got it. So for your account, at least, and the reason I know this is because we discussed it just 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So one of our developers is actually trying to fix this. He is working on a solution where if an agency wants to come out of the ISP beta, we are able to support that. And to be honest, that's going to be a lost cause for us because by the time he is done with that API and we do it and we fix your account, most likely the ISP is going to release publicly. So,
and when it rolls out publicly, Shamam, will you have the ability to
hold
select?
on real quick. Sorry, I'm going to jump in here and kill this conversation because I love you guys and you're awesome, but take it offline.
Sorry.
Next question, Nico.
Next one is from Justice. Is there any plans to be able to add multiple contacts to one opportunity card?
Yeah, like most other things, it's just a matter of when. And again, that's something which will take a lot of effort. And I don't see that happening before the company object and the permission. So I think those are the 2 big projects ahead of us before we go down that path of kind of mapping multiple contacts to opportunities at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Shah. Next one is from Melissa. I have a client who builds funnels and websites and wants to share them. The only way they can share it is if I give them agency access to my agency. Is there possibly a different way to allow him to share his funnels/websites?
Not currently. So the share funnel concept was designed around this idea that you're an agency, right? You're a top level player and you're going to be giving this out to somebody probably in another agency or marketer who you feel like is going to be a great fit for high level. That's sort of the idea. Or somebody already has a high level account that you're talking to. So the goal is not to create I have this really advanced user who wants to share, but at the same time isn't advanced enough to be on their own kind of, but like, we're not going to mix and match those use cases in most cases. Either you're an agency and you're kind of that top level control or you're not. But we're not going to create sort of agencies within agencies. It sounds like that person's almost their own agency if they're running around sharing.
That's what I'm going to suggest as he goes direct to high level. I just wondered if it was a quick workaround because he's from another country. I know he's going to go $297. So yeah.
Well, you're sharing funnels. He probably is making tons of money doing it. Start charging for it.
Yeah.
Next one is from James. For a manually created account, can we move or copy the green save button and place it immediately under the last input field at the bottom?
Oh, yeah, I love this idea. Float the button.
Yeah, it is in this sprint. It'll be out in a few days.
Yeah, there we go. That button float is going to be lethal. There's an add-on that does it. It's great.
Beautiful. And then another one from James is, are custom fields for users on the list?
For users.
I think, I mean, just to jump in here for Shanawaz, I think we've heard a lot of ideas on the CRM, and these are all good ideas. So one thing that we are doing is the ideas list that we had. We have been building those ideas for almost about 3 years. People have been contributing. A lot of those items are shipped, but we're switching platforms over there because the platform we were previously using wasn't robust enough for our product team to continue to use. And we also wanted to do a cleanup over there, make sure that all of the ship features are marked, merge the ideas that make sense, delete the one-offs that don't make any sense, and really clean that list up. But I think what's useful is, I mean, just on this call, you can see there were 10 amazing ideas for the CRM. And really the way we know where to go first is on the ideas list. So we're putting in a lot of effort. By the end of the quarter, the 2 things that we've committed ourselves to doing is making that ideas list very actionable, making sure that you can see items moving, shipping, you can see which ones are on the top. We're also going to put a public roadmap on that list so people can see what we're building towards and which items are going to release when. And then I think we really are going to depend on the upwards on that list to decide what to build. Because on the CRM, I mean, there's an endless list of stuff that we could build. We could build for 5 years and not be done with most of the stuff that we even heard on the call. So I think the prioritization, that's where the community needs to come in and really make sure that the ideas get voted.
That's amazing. I can't wait for that. So actually based on that, the reason I asked for this, if this was on the list, is because I have a separate problem. Maybe there is a solution. So by default, I have Mailgun and I have a domain that all of my clients use. So I automatically create the user ending with my domain. So when they go to log in and the 2FA comes up and their phone number isn't there, they have to try to send the security code to my domain, which forwards to me. So there's not an easy way to do 2FA. And the reason I use my domain is because by default, when they go to send an email, it would have their like Gmail or Yahoo or whatever awkward, email that's not connected up. And I wanted to send through my Mailgun. Is there a solution to that, or is there another way that I should be looking at it?
Can you not create separate inboxes for those guys?
Does he? Oh, sorry.
So I want all the emails coming out through my Mailgun domain. So by default. So if a client goes in and they go to send an email, I want it to default to the Mailgun. So that way we know they can be delivered and all that fun stuff. I don't deal with Google or Yahoo integrations. So I want that to happen.
Already be happening, right? We actually changed it to make sure that we use the client's Mailgun account. We don't always use ours for the code anymore. So we use ours as a fallback now.
Well, I want to use my specific domain for
so if you set at the very top of the Mailgun settings, if you set that domain, that's the one we use by default for every sub account that gets created automatically. So if you set it to yours, it will pull it. Yeah,
no, I get that. And I create the username using that ending of that domain, that Mailgun domain. So john.client@mymailgundomain.com.
Yeah.
I make that the username because if they go into their high level and they go to send an email, I want it to default to that correct domain instead of like, I want it to be built. I want it to be john.prospect or john.client@mymailgun domain, not whatever their actions are. Because I wanted to go out through my Mailgun.
Does that anyways?
I don't know. So I think I understand what James is asking for here. So for the email address for the users, he sets the user at the Mailgun domain because that's the from address he wants to use on all outbound communication from them. But
correct.
The problem is that's where the code goes as well.
What's that?
Yeah.
I think, James, so what is the problem? The problem is that the 2-factor code also goes to that same address.
Yeah, that's an additional issue. But what I mean is if my client logs into their high level and they go to send an email, it's going to send an email. If their username was not the Mailgun, it's going to autofill with whatever their user email is, right? So I had to change their user login to be my Mailgun login.
Yeah.
So then as a result, like 2FA is a secondary issue, but So all their logins is not even a mailbox that they can, see the 2FA code from. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think the 2FA one makes sense. What's the primary problem? Just that you have to do that.
Okay, well, there's two problems in there. Number one problem is I have to, every user email that I create has to be at my Mailgun because I want
that
it
is
to
the
default.
problem.
That's problem one.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah. I mean, Shanavas again was working on a couple of items over here on the user where we allow you to add a send as field. So you can continue to keep the email address the way it is, and we give you like an alias that you can add, and we use that for all of the email sending, which can be the Mailgun address. So we'll continue to run that down.
Can I ask a follow-up question on this? James, why do you want to use the client name at yourdomain.com as their email? Like when the client comes in, they already have an email. So why do you want to?
So Shivam, that's because when they go to conversation to send an outbound email, we automatically pre-fill the from email address with the email of the user, which will be their actual email address if he doesn't put in the Mailgun domain. And he wants all of the outbound email to go out from the Mailgun domain.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the issue.
So also, have you considered like getting into their DNS records and just setting them up, kind of like managing it on,
That's what we do, James.
Yeah.
And or I'm sorry, I was just chiming in randomly. And if I made like a pretty much almost full automated process. You still have to obviously go in and do it for them, but I'd be happy to share how I set that up if that would help at all.
I'd love to see that personally.
Yeah, if you
So
just want to
basically-
shoot me an email, it's stephanie@cultivatingSales.com, and I'd be happy to share that with you, because it really, I had to end up doing it probably over 300 times.
Nice.
And so I got sick of obviously doing that, so I redid it, and I would love to save you the headache.
Do you guys use Cloudflare as part of that?
Not currently, but if basically it's a process where they get an email when they sign up to fill out a form with their Mailgun or their email information. And then wherever they have their domain, we go in and add those records in for them via delegate access for most places. So you can just they can grant you access and then remove you at the end so they feel safe. And then I can give you more info on it later. I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
So Stephanie at cultivatingSales.com.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, Lord. One thing I do want to chime in, though, if you need real help with Mailgun or email deliverability in any way, shape, or form, talk to Kristen Rushman. She's on the call today.
And everything that I would be sharing with you is what I've learned from her 100%. So
okay. So email deliverability is not my question. It's sending as the proper domain. So it's a high level type configuration.
Yeah. And James, we do this today with our accounts. So all of the outbound, so our team uses the same accounts as well. So we have an @gohighlevel.com account, which everyone on the team has. And our email domain is replies.gohighlevel.com, which is our Mailgun domain, and which we use to send out to the CRM. So because it's a subdomain and we have added a rule for that, it just works. So people still log in with their @gohighlevel.com address. The sender address in conversations is still @gohighlevel.com, but the domain it actually gets sent out of in Mailgun is replies.gohighlevel. But we've added in records to make sure that replies.gohighlevel.com can send as gohighlevel.com. So that's not on the Mailgun side. If you don't have a DKIM record or anything preventing it, this will work by default. As long as it is a subdomain, it will work.
Sure. Yeah, no, I understand the subdomain and making sure the DKIM is set up. The problem I have is like if it's a medical doctor, it's Dr. Bob at AOL.com is his email. That's the issue.
Yeah, what you're saying. So I think the only solution for what you're talking about is Shanava is actually building the alias or the send as feature.
Cool. All right. That's awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
also I tell them they have to get a real business email. I mean,
I
that's
was going to
kinda
say, help
ridiculous.
Dr. Bob get a real business email. Step number one.
It's less than $100 a year. If he can't afford that, then he shouldn't be in business.
Also, that is also what we do as well. So I second that.
Cool,
Well,
guys.
yeah,
So
I mean,
we are
if-
over time. I gotta cut us
Yeah.
off, but I do have an important message that I want to get out really quickly. I'm throwing a link in the chat to a quick form that I just spun up. We're gonna make some structural changes to the town hall, and I want to make sure that you guys are all registered so that we can send you the updates. So just fill that out so that we can tag you as a frequent town hall guest, and we'll get you the latest info when it's available. So before you hop off, please just click that link and throw your info in real quick, and that will help us out.
Chase, it just refreshed. It didn't give a thank you page or anything.
No, I just spun it up right now. So it's
okay.
quick
All
and
right, cool.
dirty.
Just making sure.
No, all good. But thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging out as always. And we will see you next month.
Yeah, everyone.
Thanks. Great meeting.
Thank you guys. See ya.
Bye everyone.